A long time ago, when I was 5 years old, I had a dog for a pet, but only for 3 days. Then I had hamsters, I had budgerigars, and when I grew up, I had lots of cats. This story is about a bouncy dog. Felicity's birthday was in the middle of the month of September. She was going to be 9 years old. She was very excited about being 9 years old, not just because she would get some presents and a party, but also because she felt she would be more important and grown up. However, for her mother Sally and her father Steve, there was a problem. Felicity already had lots of toys and clothes. She had dolls, a doll's house, a toy kitchen, a bicycle, a scooter, and much else besides. Sally and Steve just did not know what to get her. "I think we'd better ask her," said Sally. "A pity, really," Steve replied, "because, well, then it won't be a surprise." "Well, I prefer to get her something she really wants rather than something she doesn't. That way we avoid any chance of disappointing her," Sally argued. So both parents went to ask what their daughter Felicity would like for a present. Felicity thought about it for some while. Really, deep down, what she would have liked most of all was her very own horse, but she knew that if she did have one, it would be a lot of work. She would have to go to the stable each day, feed the horse, brush it, clean out the dirty straw, give it new straw, and lots of other jobs. Anyway, she was already allowed to borrow her friend Amy's pony on Sunday mornings and sometimes after school. No, it would have to be something else. Next day, looking through one of her storybooks, she found a picture of a little puppy. It was such a lovely little puppy that she immediately got up and ran to her mother, shouting, "I know what I want! I've found it! I would like a puppy for my birthday!" At first, Sally and Steve weren't sure about having a dog in the house because during weekdays the children were at school. Their father was at work in London and their mother was usually busy doing something in the village. They felt it wouldn't be nice to leave the dog alone all day. So they thought a bit more about it. "You know, Steve," Sally reasoned, "we've got a very large garden and a dog would never get bored in it. Besides, Jacob is often here and I'm sure he would be only too pleased to have a bit of companionship. He would look after the dog. I know he would give it a stroke and throw a ball for it to chase." So Sally and Steve agreed, but they said they didn't want a very small puppy. They didn't think it was fair to take one away from its mummy when it was too young. They also preferred having a dog that was house-trained. A house-trained dog would not wee-wee all over the floors like a tiny puppy. When Leo heard that Felicity was going to get a dog, he said that he wanted a pet too. "I want a real giraffe," he said. "Oh, don't be silly, Leo," his father reacted. "A giraffe would be as tall as this house, so where would we put it? Anyway, it's not your birthday." Leo persisted. "If I can't have a giraffe, then I want a real big stripy tiger." "Tigers eat people," Steve replied. "Do you want me to get you a tiger that will eat you for its supper?" Leo thought about it and began to realize that sharing a dog with Felicity might be a good thing after all. Not far from the village was a rescue centre that looked after dogs that people didn't want anymore or dogs that had got lost and needed looking after. Felicity agreed with her parents that it would be much kinder to give a lost or unwanted dog a home. That way they were sure it would be loved and made happy again. One Saturday morning, the whole family got in the car to go to the rescue centre. As soon as they got there, they could hear lots of barking. A friendly lady wearing a long apron took them to see all the dogs. They were all kept in large wire cages and making lots of noise. As soon as they saw the visitors, they ran to the front of their cages. Some of them jumped up, putting their paws on the wire as if to say, "Please take me home." Felicity felt very sorry for all the dogs and wished she could have them all. So it was very difficult for her to choose, but finally she saw the one that she really could not ignore. It was a very young Labrador, sandy-coloured and probably only 5 months old. It looked very sad and stayed curled up in his basket. When he saw Felicity, his tail began to wag. He got up from his basket and came over to the wire. Felicity got down on her knees, and at that moment the little dog tried to put his tongue through the wire to lick her and say hello. "What's his name?" Felicity asked. "His name is Tolstoy," said the lady in the apron. "He's a lovely little dog and deserves to have a good home very soon." Tolstoy's story wasn't a happy one, and sadly it is the sort of story that lots of pets have to suffer. When Tolstoy was a little puppy, he was taken away from his mummy and all his brothers and sisters and put in a pet shop. One day a little boy came along with his parents and decided to buy Tolstoy. They took him to their home, which was a flat. That meant it did not have a garden for Tolstoy to play in. When the boy and his parents were at school and work, Tolstoy was left in the house, where he felt very lonely and he often cried. He also got very bored and tried to find things to do. He chewed the furniture, he chewed everyone's slippers, and when the postman put things through the letterbox, he chewed the letters too. This made everyone very angry. Tolstoy was given a special tray to do his wee-wees in, but sometimes he forgot and did a little puddle on the kitchen floor or on the lounge carpet. So it wasn't very long before the little boy and his parents said they didn't want Tolstoy any more. That is how he came to be in the rescue centre. Steve said to the lady in the apron that they would take Tolstoy. They gave her some money, bought a collar and lead, and Tolstoy was let out of his cage. "Come on, Tolstoy," Steve said, patting Tolstoy on the head. "You're coming home with us. You're going to be one of the family." On their way home, Sally and the children sat in the back seat of the car with Tolstoy. They held him tightly because he was so excited they didn't want him to run all over Steve and distract him from driving. There was a pet shop in the village, so they stopped there to buy Tolstoy dog food, some chewy things to make his teeth strong, metal bowls for his food and water, and a wicker basket for him to sleep in. When they finally arrived at Heatherfield Farm, Felicity let Tolstoy out of the car and took him around the house to the large garden. Tolstoy went frantic. He had never seen such a large place to play in and explore. For a moment he went very soppy, running round and round in circles, yapping and trying to catch his tail. Then he kept jumping up, trying to lick Felicity or whoever was closest to him. He was so bouncy, it was as if he had rubber legs. Tolstoy used up so much energy during the next hour that he got very hungry and very thirsty. As Tolstoy was Felicity's birthday present, it was her job from now on to look after him. So she got help from her mother to open a can of dog meat and then put it in one of the bowls they had just bought. She filled the other bowl with water and then put both bowls on the utility room floor. Tolstoy noisily lapped the water and then ate all the dog meat very fast, licking up anything that fell out of his bowl. Usually you would think that after all that exercise and food, a dog would want to go off and have a little sleep. But Tolstoy was so keen to explore the whole garden that he immediately scratched at the kitchen door, asking to be let out. Felicity took him outside and then let Tolstoy go off on his own. As soon as he was let loose, he went off sniffing everything, especially bushes and trees. Now and again he would lift his hind leg and squirt a little wee-wee at one of these. Felicity noticed this and shouted to her father, "Daddy, Tolstoy is wee-weeing all over the garden." Steve laughed at this and said it wouldn't go on for very long. I'm afraid that's what dogs do when they go to a new place. Those little squirts of wee-wees are messages to other dogs and creatures. If ever they come along here and sniff those messages, they will know this is Tolstoy's garden, and they should not try and take it away from him. Of course, hearing Tolstoy barking, the Tiddlewits, the Niffypongs, and especially the Wahoos were very interested to see what was going on. The Wahoos were terrified that Tolstoy might turn out to be another fierce dog, and that they would have to move once more. From a distance they tracked Tolstoy and saw him doing his occasional wee-wees. When he got to the old oak tree, Mr. Tiddlewit raced to his front door. Forgetting his fear, he shouted at Tolstoy, "Don't you dare wee-wee on our house! Go and do it somewhere else!" Tolstoy was so surprised he immediately stopped in his tracks. He had never seen such a small person before, and wondered if he might be a bit dangerous. Now, Tolstoy was a very friendly dog, and would never think of harming anything or anyone unless it was very nasty. He gradually edged towards Mr. Tiddlewit. Tolstoy's tail began to wag as he got closer, and then, to Mr. Tiddlewit's astonishment, Tolstoy leaned forward and licked him on the head. "Don't do that," said Mr. Tiddlewit, getting out a handkerchief and wiping himself down. Tolstoy gave a little woof woof and rolled over on the moss. He thought Mr. Tiddlewit would come and tickle him on his tummy. "I haven't time for any of that silly stuff," said Mr. Tiddlewit in a rather grumpy way. However, the children were different. They had been hiding, watching their father and Tolstoy's antics. Now they ran out of their hiding place towards the friendly dog. Seraphine, Pickle and Pumpkin stroked, tickled and scratched him with their tiny hands, saying, "Good dog, clever dog." Tolstoy loved every minute of it. He had never been so happy in all his young life. Tolstoy became great friends with all the little people. He played with the children and sometimes carried 2 or 3 of them on his back at the same time. What he liked best of all was going to the big pond. He was a good swimmer, and when the children played there, they sometimes had the courage to let him take them over to the island where they said hello to Mrs. Duck and the moorhen. With all this exercise, love and good food, Tolstoy began to grow more and become quite strong. Now, it is well known that dogs have a fantastic sense of smell. They could smell things that we could never know about, even if we had 5 noses. One day, Tolstoy sniffed the air. Somehow it was different. It wasn't a very nice smell, and he began to wonder if it belonged to some new creature. Much further down the garden, the Tiddlewits knew exactly what the smell was, because they had just seen a fox. Mr. and Mrs. Tiddlewit, Pickle and Pumpkin ran for the safety of their home under the old oak tree. They didn't trust foxes, because one day their Uncle Theodore had gone out for a stroll and never came back. They were sure it was a fox that had taken him. Seraphine knew nothing of the panic that all the other little people felt, because she was picking daisies in the flower beds. When she had finished, she began to walk home. Approaching the tall grass in front of the big pond, she suddenly saw the fox. She screamed with fright and dropped to the ground, hoping the fox had not seen her. The fox turned round, wondering from where the scream had come. Slowly, looking everywhere and sniffing the ground, he made his way towards Seraphine. The young girl was sure that the fox would see her. She knew he could run faster than her, and that he would soon catch her in his sharp teeth. Seraphine was trembling with fear, and thought she might be safer if she could get to the reeds and hide in the big pond's water. She got up, ready to run. The fox saw her immediately and began to chase her. The fox had almost caught up with her when it suddenly tumbled over and somersaulted into the air. Tolstoy had seen both Seraphin and the fox, and immediately went to the rescue, barking loudly and charging into the fox at great speed. The fox was able to get hold of Tolstoy's leg and gave it a nasty bite, but then got up and started to run away. Tolstoy chased after it through the orchard and the small forest to the stream at the end of the garden. The fox was so scared that it jumped into the stream, but was then carried away by the strong current. Tolstoy limped back to find Seraphin. He found her at the old oak tree, together with all the Tiddlewits, all the Niffypongs, and all the Wahoos. They gave Tolstoy a great cheer. He was their hero and protector. Dr. Wahoo saw that Tolstoy had been bitten, and was soon putting some of his special cream on the wound. "Now, please don't lick that cream," said Dr. Wahoo. Tolstoy's leg was already feeling better, so he rolled over onto his tummy for everyone to give him a really good scratch. I'm pleased to say that the Tiddlewits, the Niffypongs, the Wahoos, and Tolstoy never saw that fox again.